up? Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, hello, my name is Morgan. My channel is dedicated to life with my daughter, my 5-month-old Paisley. She currently is not in the room with me. She is out in the living room watching My Little Pony. So I'm gonna try to get through this video without her for the time being. I'm just gonna let her hang out there and relax for a little bit because when she comes in here with me, she's just flustered. So as you can see by today's title, I'm going to be talking about my throat / eating disorder. It more so is my throat. It's not necessarily an eating disorder, but it hinders my ability to eat and eat normally and properly through like day-to-day life, and it affects me negatively, I suppose. I think that's the word that I could use for it. It's extremely debilitating. It sucks. It's very frustrating. So the one thing that I think is interesting about my condition is that Jeffree Star has it too. It's not the same name, but it's the same like concept of like what happens to me happens to him, what he's been through. Sister, hi, hey, I've been through it as well, numerous times, more than I can count. So it is called esophageal dysmotility. I'm sorry if the lighting goes funky. It's just like where I'm sitting right now. It is just not, well, the lighting just being all weird. So I will put a definition right here or somewhere on the screen, kind of explaining what it is, like the medical terms for it. So I have dealt with this probably like half of my life. I think it started around when I was like 10, maybe. I can't remember exactly like what age, but I can remember one specific event that happened where I'm just like, okay, I could have died, honestly. The reasoning why I'm making this video as well is because my last video, if you have not seen it already, I will leave a link in the description, but it's Paisley's 5-month update, and I kind of go into a brief little part about me saying like how I'm not gaining weight and like how breastfeeding has been a little difficult because of my throat condition, but I didn't really get into depth or giving a description on the situation. I kind of just mentioned it, and I had numerous people ask me and say like, hey, would you make a video, like, hey, what's wrong with you, or just straight up like ask me. So I figured making a sit-down video and just talking about it could shed a little light or give some like awareness, or if you might be struggling with it as well and you don't know if you should go to the doctors or just you brushed it off like I had throughout the years, then this video is for you. So I was about 10, maybe 11 or 12. I was eating, I think, at a Subway with my mother, my sister, and my dad, I think. My mother, my sister, and I think so. I normally get a sub that has chicken, bacon, lettuce, mayo, peppers, pickles, whatever. And we're sitting there and we're eating, and all of a sudden I start choking. Literally like choking. I had to like bend over so people didn't see me because I didn't want to stick my fingers down my throat in front of a bunch of people, but stuck my fingers down my throat and like had to pull it out. And we kind of brushed it off as like, oh, it was just an accident, like she just started choking, it happens sometimes, and brushed it off at that point and just kind of left it alone. Didn't think too much of it, and I kept eating. And then I was noticing as I was eating, my throat felt very restricted, like really tense. It just felt like food wasn't wanting to go down like how it usually did. It just felt really hard to eat. I had to like sit up more straight and like try to breathe, and eventually it went down and then it subsided and it was fine. So I just brushed it off, didn't really think much of it, and left it alone. Fast forward like a year later, I started progressively knowing it was just getting worse and worse. Every time I would sit down, at least one time when I was eating, there was that feeling of it just wanting to get stuck. But then it would pass, and it didn't take too long, but it was just always there. It kept happening quite a few times until it got to the point where I was telling my mom like, hey, something's not right. Like, I'm not understanding why I'm having such a hard time eating. I would sit there at meals and be the last one sitting there because it was just so difficult to have a meal, to even eat a bowl of cereal, anything of that sort. I would always be the last person just sitting there, my plate's half touched, because one bite in, I'm sitting around just waiting for it to pass. And if it doesn't pass, I physically go to the bathroom. Sorry if this is TMI. And I don't have to stick my fingers in my throat. For some reason, I can just like cough and it like pushes the muscle, which is so weird because of the issue of my muscles not working correctly. It can come up and I can relieve the pressure and the food just like resting. It's usually just right here. It just sits right here in my throat. And I can push it up and it comes out. I flush it, wash my hands, and sit back at the table and pray it doesn't happen again. And if it does, it's either I sit, wait for it to pass, or I'm back up in the bathroom. So eating is just very difficult for me. It is a hassle. I don't enjoy it at all. So it leads into also me not gaining weight. Like I've previously said in numerous videos before, I was 97 pounds before I got pregnant with Paisley. Gained about 45, maybe a little bit more than that. After I had Paisley, I was resting around like 125 and it was comfortable for me because I've always been on the lower side. 97 I think is the lowest I've ever been, but I usually just stay around 100, 105. Doesn't really go any higher than that. So being 125, it was really nice. It felt good. I felt comfortable. Jeans were fitting like snugger than usual. I wasn't always having to do like the wiggle to pull my pants up or wear a belt. It was just a good feeling. But steadily now, after having Paisley, my weight's decreasing again. I'm getting smaller again, and there's nothing like I can really do about it. I try to eat as best as I possibly can, but some days I don't want to even be bothered eating. I'll drink a lot of water, but there's just times where I sit there and I'm like, I dread it. I just dread eating. And I love food, but just the process and just having to sit and possibly have something get stuck is just this frustrating, this feeding feeling, and it's awful. And then with breastfeeding, you are supposed to consume more calories, double the calories that you were eating before you were breastfeeding. So it makes it way harder for me when feeding Paisley, so I make sure I'm constantly drinking water throughout the day. I'm always trying to stay as hydrated as I possibly can. I take my prenatals to make sure that I'm still getting the vitamins, giving her the vitamins, and then throughout the day, snack as much as I can on like granola, Chex Mix, like trail mix. I'll eat spoonfuls of peanut butter. There'll be times where I'll eat maybe like a small plate of eggs. Nothing that sounds too delicious, but to always have something in my system so I am making food so I can feed my daughter. That is something that I am trying my best to do. I'm seeing that it's working. The doctors are saying her weight gain is great. She's doing good. My milk is doing what it's supposed to. So like that is a very refreshing, relieving feeling, knowing that I'm able to still breastfeed Paisley and know that she is doing okay while this thing is killing me. Not killing me, but like literally it's so mentally draining and it's exhausting and I hate it. It was last year in June, I believe, I had to go get, it's not necessarily a surgery, but they had to have like my gastro, I don't know what the person's name is, put a tube down my throat and extract a piece of steak. My ex-boyfriend, we were over at his dad's house and we were eating. He had made steak and I have to cut my food up into smaller pieces than usually most people would have to do. So I don't think I cut this piece of steak small. I think I just shoved it in my mouth and was like, hey, I'm just gonna be fine. I'm just gonna eat it. Wrong. It got stuck instantly and I felt it and it just would not move and it was hurting. And along with my throat, not contracting and squeezing and my muscles not properly working. Another like effect that it has, occasionally I get a really sharp chest pain depending on where it's sitting in my throat, that I have to like sit up and breathe and just keep breathing and sitting straight up, and it's just it's a sharp shooting pain. Imagine eating your food and it going down the wrong tube and you just feel like that sharp pain in your chest, like it was just there. So it happens sometimes, but not all the time. But this specific time with the steak, like that chest pain was not going away. It was just stuck and it was hurting. I was having a difficult time wanting to sit there and talk, like the pain just started to get unbearable. But I decided not to go to the hospital. I don't know why. My ex and I went back home that night and we went to sleep, and I tried sleeping it off, and I was in so much pain that even swallowing my saliva was hurting. I couldn't spit. I had a water bottle next to our bed and I was just spitting in the water bottle because I just I couldn't swallow. He had gotten up for work that morning and left. He asked me if I was going to be okay, if we needed to go to the hospital, and I just wanted him to go to work. I just didn't want him to miss work or have to deal with me thinking that, hey, it might go down at some point. Like, this has happened before, not to this like extent, not as bad, but it's happened before where it just took like over an hour or two. We're probably like 8 hours, 10 hours in at this point, but I was just still thinking in my head like it might go down. I got into work. I think maybe 2 hours later, I'm just walking around the house hysterically sobbing, just crying because it wouldn't go down. I would try to go to the bathroom and stick my fingers in my throat or try to like do the push to try to get it up, and it was just stuck. It was not moving. I called him. He came home. He took me to the hospital. We went to the ER. My mom met us there. They had to do a bunch of tests. They gave me this medicine to basically make you nauseous, so if you can like throw up and possibly push it out. That was the first goal before having to try to have surgery to remove it. That didn't work. I was still in more pain. I was just having to spit constantly in this bottle that I was filling up a water bottle in like less than a half hour, I think. And they were like, all right, we had enough. Like, she was in that much pain. They did some x-rays and they could see that a piece of steak was stuck. When I would go to cough or breathe, or just like, I could taste that previous night before, I had hot Cheetos before I ate steak, and I felt like it went down there. There's like no feeling of it being stuck besides the steak. But all of a sudden I was tasting like my burps and like my spit come out as like hot Cheetos. I'm like, there's a Cheeto stuck in my throat. And they're like, there's no way there's a Cheeto stuck in your throat, Morgan. It would have dissolved. It's a freaking Cheeto. I'm like, I'm tasting it. Like, there is no freaking way. Like, come here. You want to taste it too? It's stuck in my throat. They swap it out. Like, there's no way. There's no Cheeto. You're crazy, but we're gonna go get the steak out. No Cheeto, who? What? No Cheeto, what? I eventually woke up from surgery. They came in, approached me, and was like, we successfully removed the piece of steak. The procedure went fine. And we also retrieved the hot Cheeto. The hot Cheeto. But I told y'all it was sitting in there, and you guys didn't want to believe me. I freaking knew it was just chilling in there. He was going for the ride as well. He didn't want to leave.
Shut up.
Yeah, shut up.
Why? What did you say? I probably feel more than 10 years deep right now. Maybe like,
Pull this arm, honey. I don't want you to scoot. I want you to pull that arm right over.
at least 15 like shots.
I was just really frustrating, and I was really sore after because I had to just go down and I think just put a tube down there and just pull it out. I'm not entirely sure how that went. I was asleep. I was very, very sore after. My throat was really hurting. Talking was just difficult, and it sucked. Growing up, when I found out that this was an issue of mine, I had seen an ears, nose, and throat specialist, and they made me drink this barium drink and stand in front of an x-ray so they can monitor and watch and see what was going on with my throat. And they could see as I was drinking. I had to have someone stand to the side of me with a bowl as I was drinking it because I would have to lean over and like throw up because it wasn't going down. And they noticed on the screen And I remember just looking over at them and them just standing there like this, like very puzzled, and just they looked very shocked and confused. After that was all done and finished, when the doctor came in, they were, hold on, my daughter's crying. Hi! Hang on, guys. All right, the angle's a little different because I have Miss Paisley nursing at the moment. She was getting a little fussy out there, so I went and grabbed her. I can't remember exactly where I had left off. I think it was me talking about the specialist coming in and just seeing on the monitor that my throat muscles were not contracting and squeezing like they should be. My muscles just weren't moving. Your throat naturally contracts and squeezes to push your food down the tube, like your throat, to go to your stomach, and mine just was not. Hi. He's smiling at me. Hello. It was nice to finally hear that it wasn't in my head and that there actually was something wrong with me. I just remember feeling so torn because I was just like, why me? Why is this even a thing? Why is this happening? Why do I have to deal with this? I was younger at the time as well. You don't need to rip it, Paisley. Well, someone doesn't want to eat. I don't know what's going on with her. And there's no cure. There's nothing that will fix it. It's not like I can swap out my throat for a new throat. I had stopped seeing a specialist after the first couple of appointments because I ended up moving to the Upper Peninsula where my dad lives. My parents are split up, so my mom lives downstate Michigan. My dad lives in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. So I ended up moving with him, and I just stopped following up with specialists like I was supposed to. And I had promised my mom that I would, and I didn't. I still, at 21, I think I left when I was 17. We started looking into it more when I was 15, I think. At 21, I'm still here, not having seen anybody because I just kind of accepted it. I know something that they can do is to put a balloon in your throat to dilate it, to help it expand, so hopefully food passes a little bit easier instead of getting stuck. But besides that, there's not really much that they can do for it. And I think I've just had it in my head, well, since it's not fixable, like what's the point? Which is something I need to just stop saying and actually go and get looked at, because I'm not gaining weight as I should. I'm actually losing it. I'm very body self-conscious. Like, I'm really insecure. You know, fat shaming's a thing, but also skinny shaming is a thing too. And you might not think like, oh, being called too skinny, like that's an insult. Like, most people want to look like that. No. Shut up, just don't say it, because it really hurts some people's feelings. It hinders day-to-day life. It makes things just really frustrating. It sucks. I don't know what's in store for my future with it, if there'll be plenty more hospital visits or if it gets better. That's weird. One thing during my pregnancy, though, is I noticed when I was pregnant with Paisley, and thank the high heavens, gods, the universe, whatever it is that's out there, that when I was pregnant with Paisley, it didn't disappear completely, but it got better. Like, every time I ate, I didn't always have food get stuck. It happened occasionally, whereas every time I sit down and eat, numerous times as I'm eating a meal, it gets stuck. It happens probably like 5 to 10 times a day, just depending how much I'm eating, but it always happens. When I was pregnant with Paisley, though, it happened maybe once or twice a day. I don't know how, I don't know why, but I'm thankful because this little baby needed me to eat, for her to grow, to get her nutrients, to get everything that she needed to come out healthy. This baby depended on me, and for some reason my throat was just like, okay, we got you just for now. Because right after I had Paisley, not even joking, in the hospital, I'm like, I'm so hungry, like I want to eat. I ended up having my mom get me a fruit bowl and all this stuff, and I just started getting stuck. Like instantly after I had her. I think it's so weird. I have no explanation for it. It's not in my head because everybody around me was noticing like you're able to eat, like you are eating a lot. Like, is your food getting stuck? I had my mom always ask me at dinner, like, how is it? How do you feel? Is it going down? And I was just like, yeah. Like I was eating perfectly fine. So water gets stuck. Liquids get stuck. I know sometimes when I go out to eat, friends will forget and they'll be like, take a drink of water. That makes it 1,000 times worse because water, liquids, food, everything gets stuck. Everything gets stuck. So the water is just gonna apply to the pressure to the food that's stuck, and it's just gonna rest onto the food that is not going down. Water will get stuck, but when I have water or liquids get stuck, I instantly will just go to the bathroom and push it up because I just don't want to wait for liquids to go down. And it always is followed by I have acid reflux, which might be another reasoning that makes this so bad is having acid reflux. We're not entirely sure. I don't have many answers for it because of not seeing a specialist in so long and just kind of going with the flow. It's really embarrassing when I would make new friends and they'd be like, hey, do you want to go out to eat? Of course I'm gonna go out to eat with them. I'm not gonna not go and not make friends or see my friends because of this. But having to sit there and explain it, or going out on dates was a really big fear of mine, was going out to eat, because I would have to sit there and once the food got stuck, they would just look at me like, why are you sitting there not touching your food? And then I have to be like, I have a throat problem, it's broken, my food doesn't go down, I might have to go to the bathroom to puke, sorry. Embarrassing. Like, it really is something that made me super insecure, made me really uncomfortable, and it just really made me just, I don't want to go on dates. I'm very scared. I might throw up on you. I don't freaking know. It's not the funnest thing in the world, but it's also not the worst thing in the world. It's just something I need to get fixed, and I need to see somebody and not let this keep controlling my life, because it does. Every day there's a constant reminder of your body doesn't work properly. And yeah, if you have more questions or if I left anything out, just leave a comment down below and I will respond to every comment. Or if I forgot anything, I will leave it down in the comments in a pinned section. But I think I touched up pretty much on everything. Like, pills get stuck. You know, I had like a little tiny Advil pill get stuck in my throat last year as well, and I had to wait until I puked it out. Yeah, oh my god, just everything. I don't know, sorry, little things are popping in my head again. Like, this happened. You choked on this. You choked on this. You almost died because of this. Everything. So thank you so much for sticking around watching this video. If you have not already, please hit the subscribe button down below. She said yes. Do it. Do it for my mama. Hit the bell so you get notified every time I do upload, so you do not miss an upload. And we'll see you guys real soon.